Everything Tommy Norris has built is on fire. The empire that once promised power, respect, and security is crumbling under his feet. Family, fortune, and future are all at risk, and no one, not Tommy, not Cooper, not Ariana, knows if anything can survive what's coming. Landman, Season 2, Episode 10 isn't just a finale. It's the moment every choice, every betrayal, every risk finally collides, and the world these characters thought they controlled shows its true face: chaos. Tommy Norris stands alone in his office, the weight of everything pressing on him. The empire he fought to build, the company he poured his life into, the family he promised to protect, all of it is slipping through his fingers. There's no music here, no fanfare, only the heavy silence of inevitability. Every decision he made to save Mtex, every gamble to secure power, every sacrifice of health, relationship, and sanity has led to this moment. And the world has not been kind. Mtex has turned on him. His allies, once loyal, now hesitate. His enemies smile quietly, knowing the man who once commanded respect is exposed, vulnerable, and powerless. The trailer opens with this sense of dread, a quiet before the storm, showing viewers that this isn't a story about redemption or last-minute victories. It's about consequences catching up with ambition, pride, and recklessness. Cooper's trajectory mirrors Tommy's, but with youthful impulsiveness instead of years of weariness. The assault at the club is more than a single violent act. It's a symbol of the unraveling of control. Cooper's anger, his need to prove himself, and his inability to think ahead has finally collided with reality. Legal trouble looms, reputation is shattered, and the trust of those he loves teeters on the edge. Ariana, once a pillar of support, now sees the cracks that have always been there. Her love is tested by the consequences of choices made without thought for their long-term cost. The show doesn't shy away from these realities. It forces the audience to sit with the discomfort, to feel the consequences of actions as the characters themselves experience them, raw, unavoidable, and brutal. The trailer emphasizes physical spaces as reflections of psychological states. Offices that once radiated power now feel empty, cold, and abandoned. Homes that should feel safe are tense, quiet, almost uninhabitable under the weight of fear, regret, and unspoken truths. Even the land itself seems to mourn, as if the very earth Tommy and his family exploited to build their empire is now a silent witness to their collapse. Every frame is deliberately slow, every pause long enough to make the viewer understand that this is not the beginning of a story. They're in the middle of its inevitable downfall. Taylor Sheridan's precision in pacing is clear. This is a finale that relies not on spectacle, but on weight. Not on explosions, but on the quiet horror of losing everything. The trailer repeatedly places Tommy and Cooper side by side, though their experiences of failure could not be more different. Tommy's is the exhaustion of a lifetime of responsibility, compounded by betrayal and systemic collapse. Cooper's is a sudden, sharp confrontation with the consequences of immaturity, impulsivity, and poor judgment. Both arcs converge around the same central truth. In a world built on ambition, greed, and oil, no one escapes the cost of their choices. Even those who survive the physical dangers of this high-stakes industry are not immune to the emotional, relational, and ethical wreckage left behind. Angela's presence looms as a stabilizing yet conflicted force. She is aware of the danger, the fragility of the family, and the impossibility of restoring order. Her attempts to help Ansley become independent, to support Tommy, and to maintain her own identity highlight the pressures on women in the orbit of powerful men. Her humor, her occasional withdrawal, and her sharp observations act as a counterbalance to the overwhelming weight of chaos surrounding her. Angela's struggle is silent but critical. She represents the part of the world that sees clearly what the men refuse to acknowledge. The structures they relied on are gone. The rules they followed were never reliable, and the cost of survival may demand more than they are willing to pay. Throughout Section 1, the audience is introduced to the pervasive atmosphere of tension. Every line of dialogue, every lingering frame, every shadowed room builds a sense of inevitability. The trailer refuses to offer solutions, reflecting Sheridan's philosophy that true drama comes from watching people confront the consequences of their choices in real time. Tommy's health issues are not just physical, they are a metaphor for the unsustainable life he has led. Cooper's recklessness is not just personal, it's emblematic of a generation testing limits without understanding the dangers. Angela's attempts at balance highlight that not all damage is visible, and some losses occur in silence. By the end of this section, the audience feels the slow tightening of pressure. The collapse is underway. The family is fractured. The company is crumbling. And outside forces, legal, financial, moral, are converging to ensure that no one emerges untouched. This is a world in which hope is scarce, survival is costly, and the veneer of control has been stripped away to reveal the raw vulnerability underneath. Section 1 closes on Tommy standing at a window, overlooking the oil fields, exhausted and aware that the empire he thought eternal is anything but. The calm before devastation has set the tone, and the audience knows that what follows will test every character in ways they are unprepared for. The foundation of trust in the Norris family is cracking, and no one is immune. Tommy, once the unshakable head of Mtex, is now a man under siege from every direction. Allies who promised loyalty are hesitant, calculating whether to remain by his side or protect themselves. His decisions are no longer followed unquestioningly. They are questioned, resisted, and in some cases, openly defied. In the quiet moments of the trailer, we see glances exchanged, subtle shakes of the head, and a hesitation in footsteps that used to stride confidently. The power he once wielded effortlessly has dissolved, and the once familiar corridors of authority now feel alien. Every choice Tommy has made this season, each gamble to maintain control of the oil empire, now weighs on him like a mountain too heavy to climb. Cooper's trajectory has accelerated dangerously. The impulsive, hot-headed son who reacted violently at the club now faces the full consequences of that act. The law is no longer a distant shadow. It is a tangible, looming presence. Every officer, every witness, every report that exists threatens to topple the fragile remnants of Cooper's life. His pride, ambition, and desire to prove himself have driven him to this precipice, and now he teeters at the edge, unsure whether he can step back or if the fall is inevitable. The tension between his youthful recklessness and the severity of the consequences creates a suspense that is almost unbearable. Every scene with Cooper is a study in escalating anxiety. The audience can feel him spiraling, even as he tries to mask it with anger, defiance, or bravado. Ariana stands as both observer and moral compass. Her frustration, fear, and disappointment at Cooper's choices are compounded by her loyalty and love. She is caught in the impossible position of supporting someone whose actions endanger everything she holds dear. The trailer emphasizes her isolation, her expressions, the way she holds herself, the distance in her gaze, revealing someone forced to make impossible decisions. Will she step back to protect herself, or will she risk everything for the man she loves? The answer is uncertain, and that uncertainty is the core of the trailer's tension. It is a reminder that in Landman's world, love is never simple, and loyalty can become a weapon against those who wield it. The tension isn't confined to individual choices. It radiates outward, destabilizing entire relationships and alliances. Tommy's family, fractured and under strain, begins to reflect the chaos of the business world they inhabit. Every interaction is weighted with unspoken accusations, every meeting a potential confrontation. Angela's role becomes critical here, though her options are limited. Her attempts to mediate, to protect her children, and to guide Tommy are all hampered by the reality that even her wisdom cannot prevent the consequences of actions already taken. She represents the emotional gravity of the narrative, a reminder that the fallout of ambition and recklessness is never contained to a single individual. Throughout the trailer, the cinematography mirrors the psychological state of the characters. Shadows dominate the frame, hallways stretch longer than they should, and spaces that were once lively now feel hollow and oppressive. The oil fields, which were once symbols of prosperity and control, now appear desolate, almost punishing. This visual storytelling reinforces the script's central theme, that no empire, no matter how well built, can escape the consequences of human error, impulsivity, or cruelty. The trailer doesn't need loud action or explosions. The slow decay of order and security is far more terrifying. As the trailer progresses, it becomes clear that the final showdown is not a single event, but a series of interconnected collapses. Tommy's fall is mirrored by Cooper's recklessness, Ariana's moral reckoning, and Angela's struggle to maintain stability. Each character's story feeds into the others, creating a web of tension that tightens with every passing second. The audience is forced to understand that no one can act in isolation. The collapse is systemic. The trailer emphasizes this by showing moments where decisions ripple outward, impacting not just the individual, but everyone around them. A choice made in anger or desperation doesn't remain private. It reverberates, shaping the fates of family, friends, and enemies alike. Financial instability further complicates matters. Mtex's operations, already strained from previous mismanagement and external pressures, teeter on the edge of insolvency. Tommy's previous attempts to stabilize the company have failed, leaving the empire vulnerable to internal betrayal and external opportunism. Business partners, investors, and rivals are no longer merely obstacles. They are predators circling, waiting for weakness. The trailer hints at these external pressures through subtle imagery: a boardroom empty except for a few wary individuals, documents scattered across a desk as if abandoned in haste, and hushed conversations that carry a weight of suspicion. Every frame reinforces the sense that collapse is imminent and unavoidable. The interpersonal relationships are equally fragile. Cooper's reckless choices have not only jeopardized his career, but also strained his family ties. The trust that once held the Norris family together is cracking under the strain of repeated misjudgments and betrayals. The trailer highlights these fractures with lingering shots of tense conversations, silent accusations, and unspoken fears. It is a world where love, loyalty, and ambition are constantly in conflict, and the audience can sense that not every relationship will survive the finale. By the end of Section 2, the audience is steeped in tension, uncertainty, and dread. The power structures, family bonds, and personal identities that have defined the characters are unraveling simultaneously. Tommy's health, Cooper's impulsiveness, Ariana's loyalty, and Angela's protective instincts all collide to create a perfect storm. The trailer establishes that the finale will be an emotional reckoning, one in which choices made in anger, pride, or desperation lead to irreversible consequences. Section 2 closes with a lingering sense of impending disaster, a world where nothing is certain, everyone is vulnerable, and the cost of survival may be greater than anyone is willing to pay. The true weight of consequence begins to settle on Tommy Norris. His body is failing, and the trailer makes it clear that the exhaustion is more than physical. It is existential. Every decision he has made for Mtex, every sacrifice of his health, every compromise to maintain control, now confronts him with the cold reality that it was never enough. The empire he fought to preserve is no longer a symbol of achievement, but a monument to fragility. The trailer emphasizes the isolation he faces, moments of silence in empty offices, the echo of his own footsteps through spaces that used to buzz with purpose. These are the visuals of a man stripped bare, forced to confront the magnitude of his losses alone. Cooper, on the other hand, is spiraling in a different but equally destructive way. His impulsive actions have set off a chain reaction of consequences, legal, personal, and moral. The assault at the club was the spark, but the fire has spread uncontrollably. Every reckless decision, every corner cut in the pursuit of proving himself, now threatens to obliterate his future. The trailer shows Cooper's eyes, wide with panic and disbelief, as he realizes the depth of the consequences he cannot undo. His youth, ambition, and raw energy are no match for the systems he underestimated: the law, the business, and even the family he hoped to impress. Cooper's narrative is a cautionary tale, proof that even intent and loyalty cannot shield a person from the full cost of their choices. Ariana's role in this moral reckoning cannot be overstated. She is both witness and participant in the collapse of those she loves. Her anger, fear, and sense of justice provide a counterpoint to the chaos around her. The trailer carefully shows her navigating moments of confrontation with Cooper and Tommy, her expressions teetering between despair, resolve, and silent fury. She recognizes that the empire's collapse is not just a business failure, but a reflection of human flaws: greed, pride, recklessness, and that loyalty, while admirable, cannot repair the damage already done. Her struggle to maintain connection with Cooper and clarity with Tommy adds a layer of emotional tension that elevates the stakes beyond financial or legal ruin. Angela's presence continues to be a stabilizing but deeply conflicted force. She is aware of the collapsing dynamics, but cannot control them. Her attempts to guide Tommy or protect her children are met with frustration and failure, underscoring the limits of influence in a world dominated by unchecked ambition and impulsive behavior. The trailer emphasizes her solitude, her quiet observation, and her moments of sharp, almost painful insight. Angela embodies the cost of emotional labor, showing that in this narrative, survival requires both resilience and an acceptance that some losses cannot be mitigated, only endured. The trailer meticulously depicts the fracturing of loyalties. Boardroom meetings, family gatherings, and casual conversations are all imbued with tension. Allies hesitate, friends question motives, and enemies watch quietly, knowing that the cracks in the foundation will only widen. Each character's decisions have consequences that ripple outward, impacting not only themselves, but everyone connected to them. Tommy's insistence on control, Cooper's impulsivity, and the family's fractured dynamics all converge to create an atmosphere of uncertainty where trust is fleeting and betrayal feels imminent. The moral reckoning is amplified by the juxtaposition of past and present. Flashbacks to moments of loyalty, trust, and shared vision contrast sharply with the current reality of suspicion, fear, and desperation. The trailer uses these contrasts to underline the cost of ambition, highlighting the personal sacrifices and ethical compromises made in pursuit of power. Tommy's journey, in particular, is a study in moral erosion. He has given everything to Mtex, sacrificed relationships, health, and his own sense of well-being, yet the system he relied on refuses to acknowledge his loyalty. This tension between effort and reward, sacrifice and recognition, drives the narrative's emotional core. Cooper's breakdown mirrors Tommy's, but is fueled by different forces. Where Tommy's collapse is slow, cumulative, and weighted with experience, Cooper's is rapid, chaotic, and driven by emotion. The trailer emphasizes this through visual storytelling, rapid cuts, shaky camera work, and tight close-ups of Cooper's anxious expressions. His choices have moral and legal consequences, and every action he takes feels like a step deeper into a spiral from which there is no return. The audience is made to feel the intensity of his panic and the suffocating pressure of consequences arriving faster than he can manage. Family dynamics are pushed to their breaking point. Conversations are heavy with unsaid accusations, and even small interactions carry the weight of past mistakes. Sibling tensions, parental frustration, and marital strain are all magnified in the high-stakes environment the trailer portrays. Ariana's confrontation with Cooper, Tommy's isolation, and Angela's strategic retreat from conflict all serve to illustrate the fragility of human connections under extreme pressure. The audience is forced to recognize that survival is not just about business success. It is about navigating relationships, managing moral responsibility, and facing the consequences of choices that cannot be undone. Financial and operational pressures continue to intensify. Mtex teeters on the edge of insolvency, leaving Tommy's previous attempts at stabilization irrelevant. Business partners, investors, and competitors see the cracks in the empire and move in quietly, subtly, and efficiently, emphasizing the ruthless efficiency of the industry itself. The trailer uses these pressures to create tension, showing that in Landman's world, personal failure and systemic failure are intertwined, and one cannot be resolved without confronting the other. By the end of Section 3, the tension has reached a near unbearable level. The trailer paints a world where every action has consequences, every choice carries moral weight, and no one escapes unscathed. Tommy's physical and emotional collapse, Cooper's reckless spiral, Ariana's moral reckoning, and Angela's struggle to maintain balance combine to form a perfect storm of suspense. The audience is left with a sense of impending devastation, a finale in which the personal, professional, and moral dimensions of the characters' lives collide in ways that will leave permanent scars. Section 3 closes on Tommy and Cooper, each facing their own breaking points, standing on the precipice of irreversible change. The calm before the storm has vanished. The collapse is now fully underway. The world outside the Norris family is tightening like a noose. Mtex's business partners, investors, and competitors are no longer distant threats. They are active agents of collapse. The trailer shows subtle cues: whispered conversations in empty hallways, hurried phone calls, and subtle glances that carry unspoken intent. These external pressures are relentless, efficient, and merciless. Tommy's authority is questioned at every turn, and every attempt to regain control is met with skepticism, resistance, or outright sabotage. The audience begins to understand that the Empire's collapse is not a single catastrophic event, but a cascade of pressures converging from all directions.